Crash Bandicoot is a legendary mascot who gained initial fame in the PS1 games, but as the series tried to evolve, it arguably lost the charm that made the marsupial so special. Now, that's not to say that every Crash Bandicoot game from this generation was bad, but a lot of them just don't feel like Crash Bandicoot. Still, you can do a lot worse when it comes to platformers from this era, and though not every Crash Bandicoot game on the PS2 has withstood the test of time, some are still very easy to enjoy. Hey there everyone, Geoffrey here with Game Rant. In today's video, let's look at every Crash Bandicoot game on the PS2 ranked for your enjoyment. Coming in at number 6, we have Crash Mind Over Mutant. As far as rock bottoms go, Crash Mind Over Mutant isn't that dire when compared to the worst games from other similar series. It works pretty well, and it won't frustrate players with things like bad design, glitches, or even unfair challenges. It strives to improve over its predecessor by taking place in more free environments, encouraging exploration and talking to NPCs instead of simply progressing through linear levels. This wasn't seen as big enough of a jump to warrant better critical praise, however. Next up at number 5 is Crash Twinsanity. Crash Twinsanity took a lot of swings and rarely managed to hit the ball. The game eschewed the traditional warp room structure that the series relied on for numerous entries, in favor of an interconnected world with more open environments. It also puts a larger focus on writing, characters, and comedy. The new gameplay just felt unrefined and was hindered by an abysmal camera, but the writing was the absolute saving grace here. Its humor is irreverent, self-referential, and at times bordering on too inappropriate. As time goes on though, it is harder and harder to go through it as the already lackluster controls have aged poorly. In the number 4 spot, we have Crash of the Titans. Before Crash of the Titans, the series has always been mainly about the platforming challenge. This game added combat to the mix, allowing Crash to do more than just spin enemies into oblivion. The character and all of his companions saw a significant redesign. While the new look and gameplay might have alienated longtime fans, it wasn't a complete failure. The 65 Metacritic score might just be sitting on average, but it was enough to at least warrant a sequel. The ability to play through the game in co-op was also a first for a main entry. Next up at number 3 is Crash Tag Team Racing. Crash Tag Team Racing separates itself from the legacy of Crash Team Racing with a big injection of humor, new character designs, and the main gimmick of teaming up with competitors during a race. Players can combine karts with others and let one racer drive while the other uses a turret. Though it draws obvious comparisons and inspirations from something like Mario Kart Double Dash, it is different since players join karts in the middle of a race and can separate at any time, so it's pretty unique in that respect. In fact, the player who separates first is actually given a boost, encouraging betrayal in these uneasy alliances. The story mode also includes an overworld where players control Crash on foot. It doesn't control as well as a mainline Crash Bandicoot game, but it is a nice way to break up all of the racing action. Our next game in at the number 2 spot is Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex. Crash Bandicoot Warped was the last platformer Naughty Dog developed in the series. When the task for a sequel was passed on to Traveler's Tales, the developer didn't mess with the formula. The Wrath of Cortex feels almost like an expansion to Warped. The structure is identical, only with different levels. Like a traditional expansion pack, levels here are longer, harder, and less forgiving. This doesn't make the game better than its predecessor, however. The Wrath of Cortex doesn't really take any big risks, and as a result, it doesn't overly impress. Still, it was more Crash Bandicoot, and some fans were happy just to have him back for the new generation. And finally, at number 1, we have Crash Nitro Kart. As the follow-up to Crash Team Racing, Nitro Kart leaves a lot to be desired. Living up to the PS1 kart racer was certainly no easy task. On its own, Nitro Kart is a fairly decent racing game. It does everything it can to recapture Crash Team Racing's magic, but it doesn't quite reach the same heights. The tracks are decent enough, and there's plenty of content for the genre to keep one occupied, including team-based modes in addition to traditional every racer for themselves competitions. And there we have it everyone, every Crash Bandicoot game for the PS2. Thanks for checking out this video from Game Rant. Have a truly wonderful and happy day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.